The first supposed contradiction is in Matthew and Luke, and it is about how the grandfather of Jesus is and as two different people in the two different Gospels. This is not a contradiction. This is because Matthew lists the genealogy from Joseph, and Luke lists the genealogy from Mary. Joseph and Mary have different fathers, and this explains why the genealogies are different. And Luke clearly mentions, as was supposed. The second supposed contradiction is found in Genesis. So, Genesis chapter 1 mentions that animals were created before humans and animals were in the earth before humans, but Genesis chapter 2 implies that humans were in the earth before animals. This is not a contradiction. This is because Genesis 2 was referring to Eden, not earth in general. Genesis 1 was referring to the earth. The third supposed contradiction is found in Matthew and John. So Matthew 28 talks about Mary and Mary Magdalene entering Jesus' tomb, and in this passage it mentions an angel speaking to the two women. Now, it appears that in Matthew there is only one angel, which would contradict John 20, which also talks about the tomb. This is because John 20 mentions two angels, so people thought this is a contradiction. The thing is, this is not a contradiction, and it is because Matthew never mentions there being only one angel. It only mentions that an angel spoke. It never says there is only one angel. Now, let's move on to the fifth atheist argument, which is God commits and condones evil and immoral things. When atheists debate with Christians, they say that God killed a lot of people in the Bible, and that he condoned immoral things such as slavery, and these are specifically in the Old Testament. First of all, when God kills people, he does it for a greater good. When God kills people in the Bible, he only kills wicked and bad people, people who do evil and sinful things, and people who disobey him. Let's take the flood, for example. If God didn't cause the great flood, evil and suffering will continue to spread, and more people will suffer and go to hell, and this world will continue to be chaotic and violent. God caused the great flood for greater good. But atheists would ask, why does God need to kill the babies? Well, you see, when God kills the babies, it's an act of mercy. It's because if God spares the babies of the wicked, the babies will live in a world full of evil and suffering. So it's better to kill the babies so that they would go to heaven. But atheists would ask, why doesn't God just kill the parents and spare the babies? If God spared the babies would grow up and become evil, just like their parents. This is because evil has been embedded into their DNA and their genetics. So it's better for God to just kill them and bring them to heaven. Now that we're talking about God killing people, let's talk about slavery in the Old Testament. Many atheists would say that the Bible promotes slavery and the Bible is evil. You see, the Bible does not allow inhumane slavery at all. The type of slavery that is being approved of in the Bible is humane slavery. Also, in the ancient times, slavery was a very common worldwide thing. Almost everyone in the ancient times owned slaves, just like how almost every American owns guns or every modern person owns phones. Because slavery was really common, God allows his people to have slaves. However, God made rules and laws regarding slavery, like the masters must release the slaves after 7 years of service, the masters must not kill or torture their slaves, and many more. Exodus 21 verse 20 literally says that if a master kills their slave, the master must be executed and the slave must be avenged. Exodus 21 verse 26 to 27 also says that if a master destroyed their slave's eye or tooth, the slave must be set free for his shall share eye or tooth. Exodus 21 verse 26 to 27 makes it very clear that torturing slaves or beating slaves very severely to the point of permanent harm is not approved of or condoned by God. Deuteronomy 23 verse 15 to 16 also says that if a slave escapes from their master, the Israelites must be kind to the runaway slaves, and they must let the slave live wherever they want. And this law makes clear that the Bible does not support or promote slavery, it just allows and regulates it. The purpose of these laws are to protect the slaves from harm and suffering. So God is very kind and loving to make these laws. Atheists would ask, why didn't God ban slavery? First of all, what does God need to ban slavery if the type of slavery he is approving of is moral and humane slavery? You see, if God banned slavery, that would create more suffering and hardships for the people of Israel. Like the reason why there's slavery in the Old Testament is because poor people who lack money would rather work for a wealthy man for 7 years than just starve to death. And the wealthy man also gave his servants food and shelter as the wages. So in a way, biblical slavery was actually helpful for the Israelites at that time. So I have refuted the 5 most common atheist arguments. If any atheist wants to refute my counter arguments, please do so in the comment section. And remember, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below.